Bo Nickal a major fraud, or is there a possibility he can come back and win the world title? What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Fight Franchise and our recap and review of the co-main event and what has been the big talking point of the recent UFC fight night, where Reinier de Ridder defeated Bo Nickal in what was quite an interesting matchup. You know, a lot of people, the UFC, Dana White, have been hyped on Bo Nickal. He's had a lot of talent and a lot of hype. He was put on the main card of the UFC 300 card ahead of some former champions, former title contenders, Jiří Procházka, you know, and Alexander Rakic. I believe they fought on the prelims instead of fighting on the main card, where Bo Nickal got the spot, and he's been pushed down our throats in the next big American prospect, the next big American future champion potentially. And then himself, he's talked a huge game online on his podcast. I'll easily beat Hamza. I'd be a plus 1,000 favourite and whatnot. And now he's fought Reinier de Ridder, who has come into the UFC with this weird, goofy style, and he's been, you know, the MMA fans have got behind him because he's a bit hilarious in the way he wins. His personality is quite likable, and the way he fights, it's sloppy, but it's effective. And next thing you know, he has a bout with Bo Nickal where a lot of people thought, you know, Bo's athleticism, he's shown his wrestling, his, you know, hands, where he has had a few TKOs and KOs on the feet. You know, he's going to be able to do it. But Reinier de Ridder put a pace on Bo Nickal, and this was the first time I think Bo Nickal's ever been the nail in the octagon and not the hammer, and he wilted. He wilted and was finished by body shots. The fight takes place, and, you know, they're both kind of going back and forth on the feet and getting to grappling and clinch situations. And I believe it's de Ridder who's going for kind of a judo throw, and Nickal kind of stuffs it and, you know, gets him to the ground. And while he's on mount, de Ridder's doing good with his guard work, and he's looking to try and set up with his legs and try and get the triangle armbar or look for a submission to try and protect himself. And then eventually Nickal goes, oh, I'm going to go for a submission and go for a guillotine, and he makes that mistake where de Ridder pushes him over, bullies him over, and kind of lands ground and pound and looking for a submission himself. And he's just kind of weighing on Bo Nickal, and that's the first time Bo Nickal's ever been on his back in the octagon, and I think it was foreign to him. You know, when he's wrestling and he's been in that wrestling cardio state, he's used to fighting off his back and used to trying to get back up, but when there's punches, kicks, knees, elbows thrown into it, it's a whole different ball game, and I think he got exhausted by that. He survives to the end of the first round, and they get back up and they're trading on the feet, where de Ridder's landing and Bo Nickal's not got that same sting in his shot. The second round, Bo Nickal comes out and he looks exhausted, he looks shattered, where they're both trading like laboured shots on the feet. But, you know, de Ridder's smart. He's throwing in these knees to the body and these body shots, and he's just teeing off on Bo Nickal. And then there's a moment where he lands some body shots against Bo Nickal, and he's got Bo Nickal up against the octagon fence, and he just looks and he's like, he takes a big breath, and it's like he's shocked at what's happening to him. He's shocked that he's getting beaten up, because I think in his mind he's like, I'm this undefeated marauder, I'm going to get through everyone with ease. You know, I've never been beaten in the MMA octagon, no one can beat me, I'm a dominant guy, I'm XYZ. And I think he's got this huge confidence in himself. But then in the reality, when he's come up against a guy who's got the skills to beat him and put the pressure on him, that's the big part, who's wilted him. He's broke at the first sign of adversity, has Bo Nickal, which is a shame. And he's just smashing him to the body. And he's breathing heavy, like he doesn't want to be there. And next thing you know, de Ridder lands these huge knees to his body, and then one brilliant, beautiful knee to the body, and it crumples Bo Nickal. And he's thinking, do I go for follow-up shots? And the ref's like, no, I'm going to just wave it off. And Bo Nickal loses via TKO to knees. And it's kind of crazy, the windfall of this and how much the MMA community has fell off of him. I don't think a lot of the MMA community were fans of him. Reason being, he's been shoved down our throats, and he's like, oh, you know, he's the next big champion. He's the one we're going to watch. He's gonna do this. He's on the main event of UFC 300 ahead of all these legends. Like, it's like they're trying to build stars, which I get the UFC needs to do after this new era. It's kind of got no stars. They're trying to help build them, but there's a way of organically doing it. But they're trying to, you know, genetically manufacture these stars, as I say, like they did with Sean O'Malley. But off the back of this, the huge windfall is a load of people are trashing Bo Nickal. A load of people are looking at Bo Nickal like, you'll never be an MMA champion, you'll never do XYZ in your life or your career and whatnot. And they're pulling up receipts. They're pulling up receipts of tweets where he said XYZ, and people are saying, oh, look, you said this to me in a reply, and you said, oh, I'd easily ragdoll Hamzat when you've just got destroyed by Rainier Derrida, who he's looked goofy, but he's effective. That's the main thing. He's getting the wins. But I'm going to take a different approach. Rather than trashing Bo Nickal, I'm going to take the approach of what can we do? How can we get him back into contention in this middleweight division, and how can we get his career back on track? So I'm going to take a constructive approach to this Bo Nickal thing. Whether you like him or hate him, this is what we're going to do with this video. So we're going to break down Bo Nickal. So the one main thing to take from this, you've lost now. You've got your loss on your resume. Take it with the biggest blessing of your career. It's a learning curve. You know, a lot of people, ever since Khabib got into MMA and he left with a 29-0 record, everyone's like, I need to leave undefeated. I need to win and never lose and go undefeated. In MMA, I get it. Floyd did it in boxing as well, where he went 50-0. He did it being 50-0 in boxing, where it's hit and not be hit. In MMA, there's so many variables. There's submissions, there's grappling, there's kicks, there's elbows, there's wrestling, there's injuries. There's so many ways you can lose in MMA. It's so infinitely rare. Like, very few people do it in MMA. So for Bo Nickal to be like, oh, I'm never going to lose, I'm undefeated. It's done now. You've lost. Take it with a grain of salt. And just saying, look, it's a blessing in disguise. It's a learning lesson. Look at a guy like Jan Blachowicz. Blachowicz joined the UFC, and I'm pretty sure in his first 5 fights, he went 1-4. He lost 4 of his first 5, and I'm pretty sure he lost some of them by TKO and KO. And then he went on this streak and became a champion. Look at a guy like Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad should be a huge example to someone like Bo Nickal. Bilal, in his early career, you know, when he was around 28, probably just lost to Jeff Neal. And then next thing you know, he's amassed this 10-fight win streak going into 36. You know, Bo Nickal's 28. He's not super young, but he's not super old. He's just about hit his prime and his athletic prime in the next 5 years. So he should look at this like a blessing in disguise. Like, look, I've lost. I know what defeat tastes like. I don't want to taste this again. Let's see where my flaws in my game are and get better. The one thing, you know, this guy Bo Nickal doesn't have is he doesn't have an extensive record on the regional scene coming up. That's one thing a lot of MMA fighters don't have now. They're coming through the Dana White Contender Series. They don't have this extensive, you know, iron sharpens iron, this training on the regional scene, getting different looks, training and honing their craft and style and getting that kind of, you know, familiarity in the octagon. This is only his 8th professional MMA fight. Okay, he's had probably an amateur record, but professionally, this is his 8th MMA fight compared to Rainier Derrida, who's, I'm pretty sure this is easily over. He's had over 20 MMA fights. That experience is everything. Look at a guy like Glover Teixeira. He won the title at 40. Why? Because he was experienced. That experience took him further and further. You get better with experience. There's very few people, only like BJ Penn came in at a super young age and won the world title. John Jones done it at 23. It's so rare. So in your infancy to win a world title, this is a reality check for Bo Nickal and a lot of other MMA fighters where you ain't going to be undefeated your whole career, the most likely. You're going to lose somewhere. Take the L, learn from it, and get better. Now, from a technical standpoint, get off these podcasts. You have your own podcast, host that, talk honestly on that, and of course, be confident. But now, let's take a step back in competition. Let's get 4 wins under your belt, and let's get them against up-and-coming middleweight competition rather than shooting for these higher contenders. I know shoot up the division, but you don't have many wins anyway in MMA. Let's get some wins. Let's get some looks. Let's get some experience under your belt. This is what Bo Nickal should do. He should go, okay, I've taken this humbling L. He didn't take that much damage, even though he got hit quite badly in this fight with the knees to the body. He'll recover from that. It's not like a brutal KO to the chin where he's got to take 6 to 8 months out. Let's return in September. Let's return in August. Let's get a big fight booked in on the prelims of a pay-per-view or a fight night. Get a fight night on the main card, not maybe the main event or the co-main event where the spotlight's on you. Let's take some of that spotlight on you. Let's win and let's gradually just get better. You know, he's talking all this like talk beforehand, you know, I'm better at my striking than I am my grappling. Well, let's show it now. Let's get some KOs under your belt against lesser competitions. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, Bo Nickal's beating cans again. But this is what he should... Drown out the noise, delete social media, and just focus on the octagon. Focus on your MMA career. Drown out all that noise and let's get some wins under your belt. Let's fight some different styles. Fight a striker and mix it up. Maybe test your striking against some of the better strikers in the outside the top 15 who are coming up. Fight some of the grapplers outside the top 15. I know Torres Finney had an absolutely boring performance against someone recently on a fight night, but he's a smother you type of grappler. Okay, he's outside the top 15. Test your grappling against someone like him, you know, short, stocky guy. See these different ranges, see these different styles. Another thing, gives you time. If you want to stay at middleweight, I don't think he's a very big middleweight. He's got a weird frame. He's got a big frame, but he's not really got that much muscle density. Maybe, you know, not to hit the sauce, but like get bigger and, you know, get that muscle packed on you. So when you are fighting, you're much more physical and you can't get bullied. You're going to have more power in your shots and you can throw your weight behind your punches. Learn, maybe go to a different coach and learn some boxing, learn some striking, add kicks to your game. This loss, use it as a blessing in disguise to learn and improve your MMA game. Bo Nickal, this is what this is. Let's not write people off just because they have one loss. He's a talent in MMA. And I know everyone wants to harp on him and go, he's a loser, XYZ. Yes, he's a loser today. But he can turn his career around and become a champion one day. Yes, look, there's the perfect example as our pound-for-pound number one fighter in the world right now. Look at Islam Makhachev. Joins the UFC, lose to Adriano Martins via KO. Gets brutally chinned, out cold. He's now on a 15-fight win streak. He's one win away from tying Anderson Silva's 16-fight win streak. He's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. He's got some amazing wins against some of the best fighters in the 145 and 155 division. You know, nobody looks at Islam Makhachev like, oh my God, he lost to Adriano Martins. Yeah, that's on his career, but that's part of his story. Now you look at him and we all call him the pound-for-pound best. We call him one of the GOATs. If he gets a couple of more wins, we're looking at a top fiver of all time. So Bo Nickal shouldn't be deflated by the loss. It's going to hurt his ego, but take it as a learning step. Take it like, I got this loss at the right time in my career. I got exposed for having a weak body. This gives me something to train. Need to train my abs, need to train my conditioning to my shots to my body, and then I can get better. You can learn not to be in those positions again. So that's a huge thing to learn. Another thing, get some D1 wrestling. You're not using it effectively. Get some wrestling. You know, when he took down Derrida, he wasn't really getting off any offense, so he needs to learn how to... I feel like he needs to learn how to do proper ground and pound. He needs to know how to get people down and get his shots going, rather than some... I know Derrida's an expert jiu-jitsu ace, and he could kind of smother the ground and pound coming his way, but learn how to let your ground and pound go. Train with different style of fighters. Get some good training in. I know there's little clans across America, but you've lost now. A good person who I think Bo Nickal should train with is, you know, humble himself and go train with someone like Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland loves sparring and he loves getting live rounds in. That's what I think Bo Nickal needs. He needs live rounds because he's not had that many MMA fights. And fighting someone like Sean Strickland, who's going to put a pace on you in sparring, I think it's going to be brilliant. And it's going to show him his level of where he's at against one of the top kind of 5-6 middleweights in the world right now. So go out there and go, okay, let's humble myself. I know I may fight him in the future. Probably not, because Sean Strickland's coming towards the tail end of his career and they can probably miss each other and not take the fight if they become friends. But Bo Nickal should go, okay, let me humble myself. Reach out to that team. Let me go spar Sean Strickland. Let me get live rounds in with someone like him and learn what it's like to fight. He needs more fights. He needs more live sparring. He needs to get that under his belt. I think there is potential with... Will he be a world champion? Who knows? Can he be a world champion? Maybe. But it's kind of building now back up from the foundations, because he has got talent. He has shown it. You know, he got that great TKO against Val Woodburn. He's got submissions against Cody Brundage. He did look very poor against someone like Paul Craig, but I think he needs to learn those killer instinct, those finishing instincts. I think he needs to have a better fight IQ as well. He needs to work on his footwork as well. So this loss is that establishment to learn and improve your game. Go seek out some of the best fighters in other divisions. Look at some, I know a lot of people don't like him, but look at like someone like Ian Gary. He's gone, I'm good, but let me up my game. Let me go to someone similar frame to me in a couple of weight divisions below, like Charles Oliveira, and let me try and learn from Charles Oliveira, a champion, a submission artist, the most submissions in UFC history. Bo Nickal should humble himself and go, okay, I'm not the best. I'm not who I thought I was in my head. When you're undefeated, we hear this all the time. You overinflate your ego and you think you're the best thing ever, but you're not in reality. And this is the reality check he needs. Go up to other guys at light heavyweight, Dominic Reyes, someone like him who's fought John Jones, and learn from him and train with him and improve your game. I think there's so much potential for Bo Nickal, but he just needs to, you know, realize that potential and then tap into it and unlock it. Grapple more, learn submissions from some of the best submission artists. I think he, like I said, needs more live rounds. I think going to spar with Sean Strickland would be a godsend for someone like Bo Nickal at this point in his career. And in his career now, make better decisions. Take, in the next 2 years, outside the division, take 4 or 5, 6 fights. Get action under your belt. And if you're taking fights against people lesser on the middleweight division who are behind you, who cares? Just get wins under your belt. It's the best thing he can do for his career right now. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think Bo Nickal's finished? He'll never be a world champion. He's a fraud. He's crap. He's rubbish. He's been KO'd. Or do you think there's still potential there that he can become a world champion? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Leave a like if you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more MMA and fight content coming soon. We hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you in the next one.